Okay, so let's get into the movies that shaped us, because we were also in the 90s. We were like those adolescent kids or teenagers or young adults right when these movies were just like an influx of them. Right? Is
Oh
that the word,
yeah.
influx? Right. Yeah, yeah. So this one, Kelly told me, "Have you seen it?" And I did not resist. I hadn't seen it, but I hadn't resisted. But I watched it yesterday, and the first one we're going to talk about is
Drive me crazy.
so why do
We
you
gotta have
love
the
it?
Britney beat in the back.
Yes.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
What do you love about it?
It's just such a fun, silly movie. And when it was out, I believe I actually saw it in the theater, maybe more than once. But it was just fun. And the story of it was resonated with me on how girls treat each other. And I feel like you'll see it in most movies where there's competition and, girls like the same boy and, they're fighting over, play parts or boy, whatever. But in this particular movie, Melissa Joan Hart's character has this friend who's a little bit darker, of a personality, and she's kind of too cool for school. She's not as bubbly as Melissa Joan Hart's character. She kind of keeps to herself a little bit, but they're supposed to be besties. Well, as the story goes on, she becomes a little jealous of Melissa Joan Hart's character, and she starts doing some passive aggressive, underhanded stuff. But unless you're paying attention to that and you actually realize what's happening, you really don't notice.
Mm.
And the way that it's explained, Adrian Grenier is in this movie and he's like the male lead and they're talking about it. And she said, well, when guys compete with each other, it's basically like, they're, in the gym, like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. That's kind of how they do it, right? Well, when women or girls compete with each other, it's a lot more artistic, because there's thought that goes into it. There's, and she's like, and Alicia, who's like her friend, she's like, she's an artist. So it's like watching all these little conniving things that she does. And so when you pay attention to that and then you watch this character's interactions with other people, you'll see like she's trying to break up, this other couple. And then she's underhandedly doing, saying some other stuff. And it's really calculated and thought out. And I've never seen another movie, whether it's a teen movie, adult movie, romantic comedy, whatever, that describes that kind of anarchy in a way that this movie did so perfectly. And I've probably talked about that before on this podcast, but I always reference that because it's one of my favorite lines from a movie that describes that.
Yeah. Do you like that's how it's represented, or do you feel like that's actually kind of okay because it is a bit real that women?
I just feel like it's real. I mean,
you've mentioned on this podcast, like in you have so much love in terms of how you empower women, but like there are times where you have mentioned and exposed me to the idea that like sometimes women make it harder for the next woman to shine. And when you made me watch this or had me watch this, I was happy to do so. I caught a little bit of that, but it's just, a little unexpected. And I agree with you, but I found it as a really fun movie. So thanks.
No, it is. It's really fun, like overall. And it is kind of the message of the movie is you kind of get over what other people think and you're taking the power back about what you think is important, who you want to be around, the kind of person you want to be. And I think, the two main characters get together because they're trying to make their significant others jealous. And, that's kind of how most of these teen movies would start. And that would kind of be how the thing would be. But then by the end of it, they just realize, who gives a shit? I don't even have the energy to put toward that anymore. I need to put that energy toward myself. And that's the good message that comes out of it, if you're paying attention, is like, yeah, you might care about what other people think for a minute, but once it gets deep into it, who are these people and who gives a shit what they think? You have to empower yourself.
At what age did you stop caring what people thought? And I'm not saying that. Well, actually, let me let you answer. You could say you still care now because caring could be good because it's, it's you having a little trust in your circle. You know what I mean? It's not a bad thing, but I know there's a different and definitive moment from what you felt in high school. Like I always feel like my high school experience was pretty good. But I wonder how much, like, I don't want to say maneuvering, but like I really did a lot to make sure I was highly liked and very friendly. And I would say most people thought I was really cool. You know, some would say shy, which is always funny because they seen that I got into radio and broadcast or whatever, but never really a bad mark. I was never, you know, not adored, I don't think. And I just know that while that's good, was I like compromising me a little? Ooh,
Yeah. Ooh.
that's a tough one.
Ooh.
I don't know. We're gonna do a subtopic.
I mean, for me, it's not a straightforward answer. I mean, I guess at face value, I really don't care. Of course, I want people to appreciate who I am and the good person I feel like I am. But I know that doesn't always come through depending on the situation.